So let's go over to the next session, and we are ready. So thank you all, and let's see if everybody is there. So thank you, Sylvia, for preparing it. I know how much work went into it, and Mansour and Maria. Ria, it's really so great to have you with us and your energy.
Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you for doing this. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. 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 And hi to Armana and Marco. Bye-bye. So we are moving into the next session. There's Iman. I see her. Hi there with Dalia, and we have our translator with us, which is Savitri, who will be translating for Shakuntala, if I say that right. So welcome everybody here. We still are waiting for Peter Schumann, and yeah, here she is. So here he is with Pavrita. They will join us together and do a performance. But first of all, welcome everybody. Iman, what time is it and where are you?
At the moment, I'm in Marseille, visiting my daughter.
Yeah.
And it's 11:02. 11:02.
Dalia, where are you?
I'm outside Cairo in Egypt, and it's also 11:02.
Is this your own house? Is it your house where you're in?
This is the house I built in the desert, yes.
That is so incredibly beautiful. And I see that Peter Schumann is getting ready, and Shakuntala, can you hear us?
Shakku bhai, video on karta.
So she is connecting. So hi there. This is
Hello,
Peter. Hi there.
Hey. Hi.
Hi there. So Peter, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. And
you can hear me.
Yeah. So you're up in Vermont. You're up early.
Yes, but I'm early upper anyway, so it wasn't so bad.
It was not so bad. And you here will be joining us with Pavrita. And traditionally, we do start with India and Shakuntala. If can you hear us? And if not, we move over perhaps right away to Iman.
Yeah, I'm calling her on another line, but
yeah.
we can circle back.
So then maybe let's get to Iman and Dalia. First of all, welcome. And it's important to hear from your region of the world. If it's okay, Dalia, we start with Iman. Iman, how are you experiencing the moment now? What's happening?
Yes, hello everybody, and thank you for bringing us in this amazing initiative. And of course, all the support and all our heart goes to India and the workers and the people of India that are facing horrible COVID-19. Of course, I am Palestinian, and I just came out of Palestine a few days ago, but so the situation there is again going into a new cycle, and this cycle is called the Indian cycle at the moment, because we are also facing again the COVID, and because certain places are under continuous siege, like Gaza, and the medical situation is bad in Gaza and in different places in Palestine. So it's also a problem for us. And of course, we do feel exactly with our brothers and sisters in India, because this lockdown and this horrible disease is overtaking the lives of our loved ones, who we used to face continuously, not only with the disease, but also with attacks and also under occupation. For my part, I will be reading in solidarity with the Indian people and artists and those who are working in the field, I will be reading a few poems. One that will be from our national poet, Mahmoud Darwish, and two short ones from Tagore.
Why don't we go ahead? Just read us the poems, baby.
So the first poem is called فكر بغيرك in Arabic. وأنت تعد فطورك فكر بغيرك لا تنسى قوت الحمام وأنت تخوض حروبك فكر بغيرك لا تنسى من يطلبون السلام وأنت تسدد فاتورة الماء فكر بغيرك من يرضعون الغمام وأنت تعود إلى البيت بيتك فكر بغيرك لا تنسى شعب الخيام وأنت تنام وتحصي الكواكب فكر بغيرك ثمة من لم يجد حيزا للمنام وأنت تحرر نفسك بالاستعارات فكر بغيرك من فقدوا حقهم في الكلام وأنت تفكر بالآخرين البعيدين فكر بنفسك قل ليتني شمعة في الظلام. In English, think of others. As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Don't forget to feed the pigeons. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Don't forget those who want peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others. Think of those who only have clouds to drink from. As you go home, your own home, think of others. Don't forget those who live in tents. As you sleep and conduct the planets, think of others. These are people who have no place to sleep. As you liberate yourself with metaphors, think of others, those who have lost their right to speak. And as you think of distant others, think of yourself and say, I wish I were a candle in the darkness. Short poems from Tagore, the national poet of India. The hero, holding the sword on one hand and the necklace on the other. He has forced your door. He has not come to beg arms. He has come to fight and win over your heart. Out of the path of death, he emerges into life, attired like a hero. He will not return with a partial booty. He will take possession at a time of whatever he finds. He has forced your door. Victory, the doors have been plunged open. You have appeared, or resplendent. Victory to you. Scattered, O darkness, with your generous emergence. Victory to you. O hero, O conqueror, in the dawn of a new life, you hold the spear of a novel hope. Mercilessly cut asunder all worn out obsession. Let the bonds fall off. Victory to you. Welcome, O intolerable. Come, O merciless. Victory to you. Welcome, O immaculate. Come, O dauntless. Victory to you. O morning sun, you have risen like a warrior. Your horn resounds on the painful path. Kindle the flame of dawn in our mind. Abolish death. Victory to you. Thank you.
Thank you. How beautiful, and that call, really think of others. And we had an Indian artist early on, Punjab, I think, if I remember was her name, who said, you know, in this idea of think of others, don't only just, you know, put your foot into someone else's shoe. Take your own shoe off first. You know, so really experiencing it, and that is important. Dalia, you are now in your own place at home. How is the situation in Egypt? How is it in Cairo? What is happening to theater?
To theater?
And you, yeah.
Yeah, no, theater is starting very slowly to open, But in general, the government is in denial. They don't declare the real numbers. And if doctors speak about victims or numbers or whatever, they arrest the doctors. So it's pretty sad.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a complete fascist regime that you can only get their take on numbers or on what's going on. So the beaches are open. It's Eid, so people are gathering. So I know that in 2 or 3 weeks there will be another spike, but nobody will know the exact numbers or how many people are dying. So I wish there was no theater, but all the festivals are running. Everything, even the international theater festival is going to happen on time in September. So I'm not sure how that lead us to, but
so the government takes into account that there will be a loss of life, but it's better to share the positive news and pretend it is not there.
No, it's not happening. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it's what Abhishek said, in India or others, it is almost like a state-sponsored murder, and so many will be on the conscience of those in power. And how are you? Are you staying in your place? Are you going out? How do you're a writer, director, how do you deal with this?
I haven't really done any theater activities. I communicate with people online and participate in initiatives just by email or writing, but I haven't done much outside, and I don't think it's right to be in open spaces and share that, because most people are not careful. There are no masks. Less than 3% of the population is vaccinated, so it's not
It's not
a safe situation.
Not a good situation, and there's no support for the artists. If I remember well, you said there was an initiative on the Egyptian government to help. There was only one phone line, and in all of Egypt, and you had to call in for hours, and then you would get, maybe after you filled out many papers, $50 or something.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah.
Even that initiative was long gone. It was when over a year last year, and nothing is being done about that right now. But people are adapting. This is the beauty of humanity. We adapt. So people are trying to find ways of doing things differently, and exploring new ways of existing or even making art.
So is the theater company producing? Is it online? Is it on computers? Do people do it in secret places? Or is
just the last 2 months, there have been new plays and productions and rehearsals, but it's all government initiatives. There are very, very few independent theater or any other activities. But the numbers are very limited, and they try to observe social distance in the seating, but not in the parties or the after parties or the gatherings. So it's a very mixed situation.
Sure, it is quite stunning, quite surreal, the time we live in. It's stranger than fiction. Dalia, did you prepare something for us, a reading or?
Yeah, this is a part of a play I wrote a few years ago. I hadn't had the chance to produce it, unfortunately. I will read the first few lines in Arabic. It's I dedicate it to all of the people who lost somebody they loved, because this is what this is about. I'll read only 4 or 5 lines in Arabic, and then I will switch to English. ظننت أني لا أهاب الموت. كنت دوما أقول أني سأموت على خشبة المسرح بعد أن أرقص رقصة فلامينكو عظيمة في سن 67. أستخدم كل طاقتي في رقصة أخيرة، وتنتهي الطاقة بنهاية العرض ويسدل الستار. أدرك الآن كم كنت مخطئة. الخوف من الموت ليس من موت الشخص نفسه، ولكن من موت من تحب. I thought I did not fear death. I often said that I will die on stage after dancing a wonderful flamenco dance at age 76. Use all my energy in one last dance. My energy ends with the end of the show and the curtain closes. Now I realize how mistaken I was. Fearing death is not fearing one's own death, but the departure of those you love. And how would life be after they leave? Their death is the end of an act in a play. You need to pull yourself together in the intermission and enter the second act alone. How can I do that? Alone. I do not want to pull myself together. I do not want to be on stage again after Khalid left. Mind you, he did not depart when he went to the summer land. He left a long time before that. They say Alzheimer's prepares the family for letting go of their loved ones as they slowly lose parts of them till there is nothing left of them, of the ones we love. And I say that depression is the same. Khalid gradually prepared me to be alone. He left bit by bit. He would go into his dark cave for hours, then emerges. The darkness extended for days, weeks, and then months. Our bedroom became a dark grave. Some darkness can be tantalizing. It helps you open your senses. Listening, smelling, touch, taste. But our bedroom had no touches or whispers. It was a dark tomb. Khalid went into his grave a long time before he died. What happened in our country tore his soul to pieces. When you see hope so close to you, you can almost reach it if you stretch out your hand. But the light goes out and darkness prevails. The last blow came when they made him leave his work because of his revolutionary beliefs. He started meeting his students in a cafe. They sit like ghosts, each mouth connected to a hookah, as if it's an umbilical cord that refuses to be separated, their last lifeline. As they stare into the void with eyes that were once filled with hope, the bubbles of the hookah burst like their dreams. Hope was gone, and the dreams burst. My man went to the other side, and I have to pull myself together to enter the second act alone. Thank you.
Thank you. This is quite powerful and sad, that the bedroom that turns into a grave, or the great grave, and that the dreams are bursting like the bubbles in the hookah pipe. So yeah, well, we're sorry to hear that, and Egypt, in a way, that was also an open country with all the festivals and everything, that it turned into such a complicated a moment for everybody, where also the wrong posts and the wrong statements could get you really into trouble, and I know you retreated almost to your own a little garden and paradise. You stopped working for the university, so it is a devastating a moment also for your generation. But really, thank you for sharing and for being here with us.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for doing this for so many hours. I checked in a few times during the night to hear the other people who participated, and you've been holding the fort strong for 17 hours now.
Yeah, no, listen, that's why we did it. Abhishek and his colleagues who stayed up night after night, the Indian theater artists who connected people, to hospitals and trying to get them help. So many died. And they did it in the dark, and they did it without visibility, and it was heroic. And they represent all of us, the theater community. And I think this is why we are all doing this. And we're really with the hope that things will change and should change and actually can change. But let's switch to India. Normally we have India always on top of our session. And we have Shakuntala now with us, and Savitri will translate. So welcome, Shakuntala.
Unmute kara tumhala. Unmute kara. So if you don't mind, I would like to just quickly introduce us.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Savitri. I'm a theatre director producer from Mumbai. I run a theatre company called Kalivili Productions. And for past 17 years, we've been researching and collaborating with Launi artists. And that is how we met Shakubai many years ago. And she has been our regular collaborator. We have created documentary films, books, and also a theatre production with her. Shakuntala Bai is a hereditary Launi artist from Pune in Maharashtra, from state of Maharashtra. She's been performing Launi for last 50 years, so almost from the age of 9 or 10, she started performing Launi. She at one point used to own her own Launi troupe, and now she only performs in certain stage shows. So Shakubai, तुमची मी इंट्रोडक्शन करून दिले, तुम्ही बोला, मी थोडं translate करेन.
Maybe say a word about Launi so we know.
Launi is a folk dance from Maharashtra, and it's known for its flamboyant style of performance, and the main rasa, as we call, of Launi is Shringar. So the seductive style of performance it's known for, and there are many misconceptions about the Launi women who perform this. So in last 15-20 years we've been working on bringing the Launi, the hereditary Launi artists to the more wider audience and discussing what the true form of Launi is. And so Shakubai has been the key element of this effort.
Fantastic. So can you ask Shakuntala, how is the situation for the moment? How is she experiencing this moment of COVID and lockdowns?
तुमचा ह्या गेल्या वर्ष दीड वर्षातला ह्या सगळ्या कोविडच्या सगळ्या काळातला एक्सपिरियन्स काय आहे, तुम्हाला ह्याच्याबद्दल काय वाटतंय हे तुम्ही सांगा.
Is your sound on?
Yeah. ऐकू नाही येते शकुबाई.
Is she the mute? Yeah.
परत अनम्यूट करा. Arey, what's happening?
No, we can't hear.
आवाज येते का?
आता आला.
Great.
आता 71 सालापासून ते आतापर्यंत कधीच मला असं म्हणजे महामारी म्हणा काही म्हणा असा कुठलाच रोग आलेला नव्हता. हा आयुष्यातला माझा फर्स्ट टाइम आहे हा कोरोनाचा. आणि या कोरोनाने आतापर्यंत खूप लोक कलावंतांची नुकसान झालेली आहे. काही लोकांना तर अन्न खायला सुद्धा अन्न नाहीये.
Let's translate. Yeah.
She's saying that since 1971, since she's been performing, this is the first time that such kind of a pandemic has, she's experiencing such kind of a pandemic which has affected the folk artists to such a devastating effect. For the first time for so long, their performances are closed and the folk artists are suffering financially also because they are not able to perform, so no livelihood is present, and some of them are facing hunger and ill health and so on. तुम्ही थिएटर बद्दल सांगा थोडं.
थिएटर मध्ये आता 71 सालापासून मी थिएटर मध्ये जाऊ होते, पण 97 पर्यंत. आणि मला कधी आठवत नाही की असं थिएटर बंद पडले काही कारणास्तव. 15 दिवस, महिना, 2 वर्ष असं कधीच नाही. 24 तास आमचे थिएटर चालू असतात. रात्रीचं थिएटर चालू झाले की दिवसाही कधी कधी प्रेक्षक येतात, बैठकी लावतात. म्हणजे आम्हाला विश्रांती अशी नाही, असं आम्हाला रोजच आमचा परफॉर्मन्स असतो, रोजच आम्ही स्टेजवर काम करत असतो 24 तास. पण हे जे लॉकडाऊन मुळे जे सगळ्यांची जी नुकसान झालेली आहे, माझ्या आयुष्यातला हा पहिला टाइम आहे. आतापर्यंत मी फक्त ऐकून होते, पण ह्या वेळेस या गेल्या 2 वर्ष झाले आता होत आले, तर मी पाहते डोळ्यांनी की ही महामारी काय असते. आता याला कोरोना नाव दिलेलं आहे, पण महामारी काय असते ते आता मी अनुभवते.
So she's talking about the theaters where they perform this art form. These are residential complexes where artists live there and perform there every day. And these are establishments which run round the clock. Most of the performances are at night, but even during the day, if the customers come and they do performances for their audiences. But she's saying this is for the first time in my entire life that the theaters have been closed for so long, and we are not used to this. We don't know what to do if the theaters are closed, and we've never experienced this kind of a pandemic situation. So artists are actually really scrambling to figure out what to do with them because they don't know where to go if the theaters are closed.
पण ह्या महामारीमुळे अनेक लोककलावंतांची नुकसान झालेली आहे. काय करावं सुचत नाहीये, कुठं जावं, कोणाला काय मागावं. तरी पण काही संस्थांनी काही लोकांनी मदत केली, पण किती दिवस ती पुरणार आहे ती मदत या लोककलावंताला? सरकारनेही आतापर्यंत काही लक्ष दिलेलं नाहीये. तर आम्ही लोककलावंतांनी करायचं काय? थिएटर सुद्धा बंद आहेत, कुठले कार्यक्रम होत नाहीये, कुठले साधा कार्यक्रम सुद्धा त्या लोककलावंताला येत नाहीये. तर अशा टायमाला आम्ही जायचं कुठं? कोणाला पैसे मागायला जरी गेलो तरी ते म्हणतात की आज तुम्हाला दिले तर उद्या आम्ही काय करायचं, अशी परिस्थिती झालेली आहे. तर आम्ही लोककलावंतांनी काय करायचं हा विचार सतत डोक्यात येतो आणि काही सुचत नाही की काय करावं पुढं, काय कसं होईल पुढं.
So she's saying that as there is no state support for the folk artists, the way the folk artists are suffering, what is also happening is a lot of folk art depends on local patronage, maybe from villagers or from their regular audience members. And today what is happening is if we don't have any income and if we go to our regular patrons to ask for money, they are saying that if I give you this money, what will I have for tomorrow? Because since everybody is suffering their own loss of livelihood, the brunt is felt the most by the folk artists, because if the patrons don't earn their money, how will they spend money on our art? And there is no state support, so we don't know where to go, where to look. And also, if I may just add that these are all these artists are very proud of their art form. They're hereditary artists. This art form has been transferred to them from generation to generation, and that's what they know. It's like it's in their DNA. So if the access to that theater or that season of performance is lost, then it's almost a loss of identity, and for them. And so they're wondering, who am I if I'm not a Launi artist? If I don't perform Launi, then who am I?
Of course. What does Shakuntala think about Indian government?
Sorry?
What does she think about the Indian government?
ते विचारतात तुम्हाला भारताच्या सरकारबद्दल काय वाटतं, भारत सरकारबद्दल काय वाटतं?
काय वाटणार आहे? अहो, लोक कलावंत म्हणल्यावर ते आमची दखलच घेत नाही तर काय वाटणार आहे? जिथे इतके लोक कलावंत आज उपाशी मरायला लागले तर त्यांनी कधी दखलच घेतली नाहीये. आज प्रत्येक म्हणजे सिने चॅनलला आपले टीव्हीच्या माध्यमातून याला सगळ्यांना परवानगी आहे, सगळे दुकानं उघडले, सगळे झाले, पण लोक कलावंतांनी कुठं कार्यक्रम साधा करायचा म्हणलं सुद्धा तिथं बंदी आलेली. मग आता या सरकारला आम्ही काय बोलायचं, किती त्यांच्या नावाने आम्ही ओरडायचं, पण त्यांच्या कानावर काय आमची दखल जातच नाही. आता पण ते हजारो लोक कलावंतांनी आपलं गारानं मांडलेले आहे त्यांच्या समोर, पण आतापर्यंत कोणी दखल घेतली नाही. पण या सरकारला काय बोलायचं आम्ही?
करू मी सांगू, ट्रान्सलेट करू. So she's saying that all our plea is kind of falling on a deaf ear when it comes to the government. They have no interest in listening to what we are going through right now, and there is no package, no kind of funding or no support that we have received from the government. What has happened in Bombay and in Maharashtra also is that the television shoots and the film shoots have been given permission, but the live performances have not been given permission. So why is this kind of unfair? Why this kind of unfair treatment where you are letting somebody else earn their livelihood? Some artists are allowed to earn their livelihood, but then what have we done that you're not allowing us to earn our own livelihood? Even if we want to do a small performance with smaller group of audience, that is not allowed. And we have made all the pleas through TV channel, through different medias for the government, but nothing but a deaf ear is what we are receiving from them.
Yeah, incredible. Meanwhile, big political manifestations from the party are happening, and so it is so very cynical. Yeah.
And the thing is that the performance cycle also depends on season. So once they lose those 6 months of performance, then that supports their entire year's expenses. So
Yeah.
once you lose that slot, then it's gone. Then it's next year, and they have already lost that season last year, and now this year again they are going to lose that time. So nobody has that kind of a buffer to survive. I mean,
2 years, yeah, that is 2 years without any income, without hope. Did Shakuntala, did she prepare a reading for us, or do we continue our conversation?
going to sing a song for us.
Okay.
But if you have another question, or maybe we can do the song first and
Do
then...
the song first, yeah, so then we are not under time pressure.
Okay, okay. Shakubai, तुम्ही मी गाणं कुठलं म्हणणार ते सांगते आणि मग तुम्ही गाणं म्हणाते. भैरवी म्हणा.
भैरवी म्हणते.
Yeah, so she has chosen a song which is set in a Bhairavi rag. Bhairavi, it's called, and this is a song about a lover pining for each other. So it's how the artists are expressing their desire to meet their patrons and audience and just be on stage. Shakubai म्हणा तुम्ही.
निरोप देते भरल्या हृदयी धरी करे हा सोडा धरी करे हा सोडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा निरोप तुमचा लवकर धाडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा निरोप तुमचा लवकर धाडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा धरली आशा दिला दिलासा धरली आशा दिला दिलासा आजवर तुम्ही मला हो राया आजवर तुम्ही मला हो राया अशीच राहू द्या मर्जी मजवर अशीच राहू द्या मर्जी मजवर लवकर निरोप धाडा लवकर निरोप धाडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा निरोप तुमचा लवकर धाडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा निरोप तुमचा लवकर धाडा जीव झाला माझा वेडा.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And as you said, it's a plea for patronage by the artist.
I mean, the literal translation of it is that the lover is saying that please send me some message from you as I'm pining and I cannot think, I don't know what's happening to me. It's been so long since I've heard from you. And so please do send a word of love to me so that I feel better.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, wonderful and song. And maybe also a question for you, Savitri. What do you think? What is coming in the next months, next half year? What is your outlook, or what do you feel?
From the perspective of Launi, or
in general, you also your own and.
So it's rather a mixed feeling. There is a lot of anxiety about what's going to come, because India and especially Bombay has been going through like these lockdowns and semi-lockdowns and various phases and stages of lockdown where you don't know how to respond to that. In last year, many of us sort of responded it by going online and creating theater videos and so on and so forth. But there were many other questions which came up that in a country like India where there is no accessibility, easy access for data for most of the people, Aren't we just alienating ourselves by going online and so on? So right now it's actually a phase of a lot of anxiety and at the same time a lot of contemplation as to what we want to do. But so the other part of it is actually going out and helping, because as a citizen right now I feel that yes, I need to make theater, but I also need to just step out and do whatever I can to help. So with even as Shakuntala mentioned, for the Launi artists also, we did some fundraisers and some packages and financial aid projects and so on and so forth. And right now it's kind of an identity crisis. I feel similar to the Launi artists. It's an identity crisis of where we stand and what kind of work we want to create, even in terms of format, because there are some of us who are not so accustomed to doing theater online. So then where do we go? So
yeah. And these hundreds of years of tradition all of a sudden should happen on a screen. How can that be easy? Are artists leaving the field? Anarupa, the great also puppeteer,
yes.
she said people are leaving. They say we made a wrong choice. We cannot survive. And how is it in the community of folk artists?
Yeah, so see, that is the catch-22 situation with the folk artists, because where will they go? In Bombay or in Delhi, many people come to migrate to Bombay or Delhi to become actor or to do theater. Okay, but the folk artists who are living in their own villages, in their own houses, who have done this for generations, they don't have any other skill set. Then what happens to them? Where do they go? Even the artists who migrate to many, even in Bombay, because the living cost of Bombay is so high, many of them have migrated back to their villages saying, okay, we'll go there, stay for a couple of years, and then maybe come back and struggle in the industry, you know. But for folk artists, there is nowhere to go. Some of them may have some farmland or some other small business like a shop or something like that. But otherwise for them, this is their livelihood. So it's very difficult for them to then sort of metamorphose themselves into something else, because for them performance is who they are. It's part of their living. It's not a profession.
Yeah, and it's kind of stunning that India, that to the outside world, seems to be so proud of its tradition, especially also the folk tradition that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, that there is no support, that they are left alone. It's stunning, and it's not a poor country anymore. And we hear the reports that the super rich on private planes that they own fly to London, make so much more money, that the stock market in India is up and it is not shared, and it is a stunning situation.
There's a huge disparity, and in terms of priorities, the arts seem to be nowhere on agenda of any of the governments. I mean, may it be far right or far left, but the arts have not been on agenda for a very long time for a government. I mean, right now we all are criticizing the far right government that is currently in India, but this is not new. And
it became, so to say, it became obvious what already was a reality, but it was a little bit hidden. Savitri, thank you so much, and really for coming and join us, and Shakuntala for singing for us and speaking with this firm voice that sounds honest and real. And there was an important message to hear in the chorus of everyone. Let's move over to Peter. Peter, can you still hear us? And we are moving to Vermont, to the great Bread and Puppet Theater. So Peter, how are you doing this morning? And tell us what's going on there.
You really want to hear, okay. But before I talk, let me introduce to you two friends who are working here on the farm with us. Say your names yourself.
Pavitra.
Polash.
And they're working here with us. You will hear them shortly. Well,
Good.
It's a different summer, you know, naturally. We are a self-sustaining company. We never relied on either commercial or governmental support. We are cheap artists, we try to live cheap, and we make our puppets from the garbage we find and paint our paintings on tossed out bed sheets and that kind of thing. And but even with that, even with a good sized garden and good gardeners and a lot of bread baking, we can't do the same thing like we normally do. So normally at this time of year, we are about 100 people here on the farm. And this year, what is it, like 25 maybe. So we couldn't afford to have the interns we normally have and all that because of COVID and the care that we have to be aware of, distance keeping, all those things, quite difficult. But when it was really bad, puppeteers just went to friends in the village, performed there, to Walmart parking lot to see if anybody is courageous enough to listen about Gaza or Cuba or whatever. And that's very, very rare. It's a conservative country here. In Vermont, enthusiasm is expressed by cranking the window of your car 2 inches down. That is an expression of enthusiasm.
Mm.
And that's the fate of these little shows. But we did the local parades this summer, and we are performing the second time, the 50th anniversary of our domestic resurrection circus, which is a big landscape piece of outdoor theater consisting of many little performances, a big circus in an old gravel pit, and a pageant that winds around the woods and over the fields over 20 acres of land. So it's a big piece requiring many people, and it's done by few people. And a totally overworked little nervously wrecked company of overworkers in this theater field. And
that is quite.
We're still eating and drinking, and we are happy to be alive. And the Corona thing is just another sign of this total capitalist failure here. We had an idiot as a president recently, as you know, who totally mismanaged, and it doesn't even have the understanding of the mechanics of such an event. And accordingly, everything went horrible. As you know, over 600,000 dead. But 600,000 dead, my God, what is that? It's millions of family members. You know, it's humongous, it's huge. And now they get a new strand in, and the president now is a little better or something, but it's still that old horrible system. The money makers make their money. That's how the whole system is run. It's run by profit, just as Marx predicted. It's exactly like Karl Marx predicted. That's my speech.
That's quite something. And you said you prepared something. Is that true for us to see?
Sure. Here, watch out. Hear this. Deedle daddle, dum dum dum. We blast your ears, hopefully. This is in front of the centrality of Mother Earth, as recorded by the New York Times. And therefore, I must elaborate. I'm going to do a little fiddle sermon, and then Pavi and Kolash will do a piece. Okay, thank you. That's called a Stradivola. It's a one-string instrument that they made when they invented the gramophone, and they put a bell on it to cast the sound in an easier, catchable way. So it's from the 20s. But oh my God, that makes it 100 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
The forever has not arrived yet. The now tries to recover from its horrible accidents. The why is in hiding. The what is a prostitute for chief executives. The where gives birth to many wheres till it becomes everywhere. As the elements look on in horror, and the sun bursts into tears, India's agony is unperceived by the disaster's engineers. As the trees grow backwards into the soil from which they grew, and the clouds hide their faces in shame, Afghanistan spills its blood terribly. As the rocks of the mountains tremble from fear and suspend their sacred mountain life, millions starve from the violent sanctions imposed by democracy's crusaders. As the coffee brews in the workforce's kitchen, and the taxpayer locks up his ears in the bank's enormous safe, the giant deciders of the giant system continue to fatten the grim reaper of us all. Hey, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Arise, you prisoners of starvation. Arise, you wretched of the earth. And now you do a piece, right? Now Pavian Polish will do a piece.
Okay.
Yeah. They will do a piece now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how thick we are or how long we last.
Because of our everyday rising capability,
Our measurements are disguised in eternity statistics. Because of our everyday rising ability, we must realize our uprising capability. By the grace of light,
by the grace of light,
Beautiful, wonderful. Yeah, Peter, can you come back? Can you hear us?
Hear you.
Come a bit closer to the camera, yes. And
Hey, close enough.
so how are you feeling as Peter, as a person in this moment in
Well,
time?
I have a complicated life because my wife had a stroke and my life is divided between tending to her and trying to make hours where I can come and rehearse and be with the company. So it's a thing that isn't easy to balance. Every day, little different with surprises in it and so forth. So we try to plan as good as we can. Doesn't always work. So yeah, that's the life right now.
Incredible. If I'm right, you were born 1933, right? And
34. Yeah,
34, yeah. So you saw World War II, right? You saw war, you saw burning cities. You saw, you know, the Vietnam War, you saw the wall came down, or opening, as Thomas Oberender always says, the opening of the wall, 9/11. So how do you see this moment? What do you think about at that time of COVID?
Well, it's pinpointing the inevitable, the need for this little bits of humanity to get its act together and realize our situation as earthlings, as kids of this big mama that we utilize for our purposes in our lives and don't even realize it and damage it as we go. We have created a murderous type of civilization. We don't know how to tame it. We should get out of it. We should totally and radically change it. We are unable to do so. Life is run by these magnates of capitalism, these so-called governments that bend to the billionaires and to their stupid arrangements and their soft treading in situations of disasters. It just doesn't work. So the governments are dysfunctional left and right, and they must be overthrown and must be changed. It's a horror situation for the planet.
Yeah.
Then they're surprised. All of a sudden, Germany gets big floods, America gets iron fires, and they say, oh, wait, that was predicted for decades that exactly that would happen, and more of it. So, yeah, it's pretty pitiful. This educated human race doesn't look very educated.
Yeah. And it's about the songs you have sung for decades, right? It's not that people did not know. I think it's nobody's listening, you know, to that space of planet Earth that is so vital. Those 10 meters above us, the 10 meters below us, that life only enables life, and we're putting it in such danger. There was in the news yesterday, the day before, that the Amazon rainforest in Brazil now emit more carbon monoxide than actually they give out as oxygen. So it's a complicated a moment, and your work, you know, has been such a great contribution to theater, and it's of course legendary. And your work and also your life that you're living out there in the farm. Do you think some way there is a way out? Will mankind somehow listen when it's forced to, or do you think it is a quite a bleak outlook?
No, I don't think it needs to be a bleak outlook. When you take a look at all the youngsters that are going into the streets in the big cities here in the States, in Europe as well, there's so much movement going on. It's just, it's very hard for it to result in real political activity that is then having an effect on what's going wrong here. It takes a while. The marching in the street is only the first step, but it must be pushed to be more and more and more. It's the first step that is very important. There's going out there and yelling the truth at the impotent leaders, very important.
Yeah, have you ever been to India? Did you perform in India?
Yes, we wanted to dedicate this to the memory of a friend who just died, Shakuntala, who worked with us one summer here after my daughter Maria and I spent a season at Ninasam in Karnataka at the Theatre Institute there. And we learned to know him there, and then he came and visited here for a summer. And we stayed in contact only slightly, and we're surprised to get the news just recently that he passed away.
Yeah, it's quite sad. But we discovered so many connections to India. So Richard Schechner, you know, who was with us, and Carol Martin, and you, and so many people have been influenced by this great country, this great tradition. So it's with great sadness that we also learn, you know, what the complication that have been known about. It was avoidable. Everybody knew that this might happen, but it was a careless governing and taking in account so many deaths. And we think about 3 million, that's the numbers we heard, 3 million people in India died. Nobody knows the real numbers. Only 1 to 2% are vaccinated. Even so, India is one of the great producers of vaccines. So it is quite stunning. Peter, we are already a bit over the time. Really thank you for being there for us, for preparing and rehearsing.
Thank you for doing this.
Okay. Bye bye. And Iman and Dalia.